Colin was often sent costumes, and sometimes he would wear the costumes the distributor sent them. And when he got me, he was like, "You can wear the costume." Remember, he got the skin tight Bruce Lee outfit.
Just because I didn't look good. Like, hey, young man.
Well, we met because Colin you still have like some Hong Kong film prints, right? Like, I had this collection of Hong Kong film prints, and I was someone who's really interested in Hong Kong cinema, and I was doing some booking for a university film series, and I was working at the Bloor and wanting to book films there, and I just wanted to book Hong Kong films. I was obsessed with the Kung Fu Fridays series that Colin was running throughout Toronto. That's how I think we first started corresponding.
Yeah, I think like in similar respects to how Noah recognized my potential, I saw that in Peter. Like, okay, here's a passionate film fan who's scratching beyond just the film experience. I always looked at whoever was going to have to take over Midnight Madness, you can't just be a fan. And it took me a while to learn that, because you do need to understand the economics of film and how this all works, and also how to present yourself in this world. I was looking for someone who'd be able to who already had an understanding of that and was willing to kind of learn. I mean, when you go to Cannes for the first time, and you have to go to Cannes to kind of like dig out the gems you're going to bring back, like that's a daunting thing, and you've got to kind of understand how to kind of work in that realm. And
I remember that when I went to Cannes, one of my first times, you taking me around and like showing me like the variety in the Hollywood Reporter. And this story makes me think of like Spy Game. We're like sitting at a cafe, and you're like, all right, look at the Hollywood Reporter. What do you see? What do you see? And you're like, see this? See this? This is demon. There's gonna be demons in this movie. You want to pay attention to this. No one's paying attention to this, but you got to pay attention to this.
Yeah, there's like the way that I would do it is, as soon as I got up first thing in the morning, I knew which of the hotels to hit, which would have the daily trades, Variety, Screen International, Hollywood Reporter, and other papers, which would have the schedules of the films for the day. Back before the internet, it was like there was a lot more groundwork you had to do. But I get all these things, and I just start like scanning and trying to read between the lines. And what Peter was referring to is there was one, you always get these like highlights and spotlights of national cinemas.
Yeah.
Here was the thing on European films, and there was
Polish cinema.
Polish cinema, and you get maybe a 1 or 2 sentence synopsis. And there was this one film, and it said Demon. And I looked at the synopsis, and I'm like, okay, that can either go either way. That can be a full-on horror film, or maybe it's just something artsy, and Demon is like a metaphor. I emailed the address, and the person said, oh, sorry, it's already been rejected from TIFF. And I'm like, okay. Can I see it? I think they thought they were being punked.
Yeah.
And they sent it to me, and it was this film Demon, which is about a possession during a wedding. Yeah. But it is so incredibly done. It's amazing.
It was in Vanguard in the end.
Yeah, it got distribution. Yep. It got a life. For us, we're very passionate about these films, and we see them,
and we want to support them after the premiere.
We invite the films. Yeah. We have to you have to be quiet about it. You want to, and then finally you can share it, and then they go off and have their own life. There's a number of those films where like that was a great film, and then somehow it didn't get the...
I mean, I've been doing the Midnight Madness Presents series where we try to like bring back some of these films. And it's wild, some of these films, like I was reaching out to the filmmakers of Love God, and like they're just like, dude, like there's not a version of that film anymore that exists. Like I'm the director, all the archives have been exhausted. Like you can find like a rip of the film or a VHS dub of the film, but like the original elements are gone. It's interesting because sometimes you think if a film ends up at a film festival, it's done. It's going to be immediately a success story. You can retire. It's all great. But like sometimes they are the last chance to see a movie, the only time to see a movie, because it's a cutthroat industry, and like not every film makes it. And even the films, as you just said in other stories, like some films will sell and then get buried. Yeah. And then there's the film that, they're not all Cabin Fever, they're not all Oculus. Sometimes they don't start the career that you hope they will.
I mean, a big example of that would have been Sean Byrne, who just had...
Yeah, Dangerous Animals comes out next week.
Dangerous Animals, his first film...
The Loved Ones. Great
Australian film, slasher film, which just twists...
The first winner of the Midnight Madness Audience Award, too.
Mm-hmm. However, the kind of financial world for film that it was released into, or that it debuted into, prices for what films were being bought for just bottomed out. And they had an actor who was in Twilight. And so they had some pretty high expectations of what this film needed to be sold for and didn't make it. And so as a result, its release got totally stalled. But yeah, there are these stories, these legendary stories of industry people, distributors in the lobbies, in the hotel rooms until the wee hours of the morning trying to close deals so they can buy these films and release them. And so at that point, it's just kind of, it's out of your hands. It's interesting to see how it's like, okay, first it's the audience and then all these other streams.
One thing, though, I think it is interesting is that, programmers do maintain relationships with filmmakers, though, well beyond whether we're discovering their film or giving them a second chance. You become friends with them in that, and that becomes a consideration, too, as it goes on. It makes the job even harder because, again, you only have so many films, and so sometimes you can have a year where you just made a filmmaker's career and it feels great and feels positive, and 3 years later they come back with another film and you don't have room for it. It's heartbreaking.
Or it's
not good. It's not as good as the last one.
The flip of that too is there are directors who will submit a film, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for Midnight Madness, doesn't work for TIFF, but they're now on our radar.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, an excellent example of that is Jim Mickle. And his first film, Mulberry Street, good, but it just felt a little too small for what I was looking for at the time. And also, I don't know, I can't remember what the other factors were. Maybe it came late. Maybe I had like a full
you already had like a bunch of horror films.
Who knows what it was, but I wasn't able to take it. Then when he did Stakeland, boom.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the crazy thing about that was he sent me an impassioned letter with Mulberry Street talking about how his parents, he was from the States, his parents would drive him up to TIFF to see Midnight Madness films. And it was like, oh, wait a minute. I remember that letter. He was like a child of Midnight Madness. So he grew up in the audience and made these films that then would delight.
And you would often, when you saw a film like Mulberry Street, we were on it, it's not going to work for Midnight Madness, you would try to find it another home. I mean, you would recommend it to me. I was working at Toronto After Dark. We played it there. It was the same with Jeremy Saulnier's Murder Party, where you were like, this is cool, this is fun. It's not going to work for Midnight, but let's not close the door to that conversation, because when your next film comes around, you still want them, you want to maintain that relationship.
Yeah. Film programmers talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we share the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
So, and that was the thing. It's like, it is hampering to only have 10 films. And also to make sure that, like we talked, it's like, it's got to be a mixed bag of genre, and also has to be a representation of what's good in the world at that point. I mean, it'd be easy to just show American film, English language film, boom. No, I wanted to kind of stretch what I could to show films from different parts of the world.
And that's this thing that I've really tried to keep up, that again, I thought Colin did such a great job, is introducing new national cinemas to the section. Sometimes you can watch something that on the face of it is a generic horror film, but because it's coming from a unique cultural perspective, it changes everything. It feels totally new. And it can have an incredible effect on that national cinema. I mean, I feel like The Raid and its effect on Indonesian cinema, is largely indebted to the success of its premiere with Midnight Madness.
Yeah, there's Indonesian films now being done on Netflix, which are huge blockbusters in those worlds through streaming. But I mean, it was like back to Ong Bak.
Yeah.
So when I showed Ong Bak, overnight, suddenly Thailand had an internationally recognized superstar.
Yeah.
To that point, I guarantee you that wasn't the case. And I also like to look at it and like, you know what? I think we've probably brought together the most people in one room to watch a film from Indonesia outside of Indonesia. I mean, there was a film from when I picked Baskin from Turkey.
Yeah.
When I picked...
it was like kind of the South Parky kind of
It was like
comedy.
the South Park from Hungary.
Yeah. What was that one called? The District.
I remember that. That was really funny because there was an animated film, the Hungarian South Park, and the director was like a really funny young guy who just was always wearing kind of like Birkenstocks all over the place. He came to see the Great Yokai War, and he knew nothing about Takeshi Miike. He was just like, why are all these people... This is a kid's film? why are so many people here? He'd never heard of the director, never heard any of that. And it was like...
I love it when a kid's film works at Midnight Madness, because there is like sometimes that Venn diagram where it's like, this is technically a children's film, but it has enough eccentricity and personality that it works perfectly as a midnight movie. The one thing I like about the section is that because it's 10 films over 10 nights, and the industry kind of leaves town on Tuesday, you don't have to be as beholden to world premieres. You can truly focus on playing what are the stuff that you really like year round.
Well, I mean, so the placement of films too, though, is like you want to play stuff which is going to, you want to have a tentpole film for your opening weekend.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to kind of rush in and see it and go, oh, there's more Midnight Madness films?
Yeah.
What are the other films?
Like, I had such a good time tonight. What else is playing?
Yeah. Oh, Jennifer's Body. Whoa, that was... Wait, this happens every night?
Yeah.
That's what you want to aim for. And there is the consideration of how the films are going to be bought and sold. But then we have the press and industry screenings, which really kind of takes care and accommodates that. But the important thing is always programming for the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.